Hey everyone, what's going on? Ash and Rima here from MEOdyssey, and today we're just going to do a quick overview of pretty much all the main stuff that has come out in the last few days or so. This will include everything that's come out from IGN on their IGN First series. We're also looking at the launch trailer as well, and got a little bit of an update on an alternative version of that as well. And also we'll be very, very briefly talking about PAX, and you'll understand why we say very, very briefly in just a moment. But we're going to be covering all the Mass Effect stuff that's been released in the last 5 or 6 days. In terms of the PAX stuff, we're not really going to go into it because it's very spoiler heavy. The 2 streams that happened yesterday, or 2 days ago as of when this video goes up, they are basically one of them is almost an hour-long playthrough of EOS, which has a fair few spoilers involved, and the second panel stream had a 20-minute or so playthrough of Liam's loyalty mission. So hopefully for you guys out there, if you do hear anything spoilerish, then I apologise. We will put the obligatory spoiler warning on the screen just in case anything does slip out, but you have been warned, but we'll try to stay as spoiler-free as possible. It's probably a good idea to start with the launch trailer. I really enjoyed it. I actually particularly loved the music in the video there as well. It was very very fitting for the type of trailer it was as well. You wanted to point out a couple of things that we're not going to go into in any depth.
Yes,
But there were a couple of things that are interesting.
Yes, so I think we should probably mention that the song's by Ragabone Man as well, in case anyone's wanting to find the song. So there was a few things I thought I wanted to point out. It's not anything I really want to... Any spoilers. I'm avoiding any spoilers because, obviously, for like a really short trailer, it had a fair bunch of spoilers, didn't it? It was a lot. But I guess I want to say at 10 seconds, there was like a really great shot of all of them at the round table, like, I guess, what's it called? The conference table, the little round one. And they're all standing there in a little circle. It was very cool. I was waiting for a shot to see them all together, and that's probably the only shot we've really seen them all together, including Callow as well, so it was quite nice. As I said, there are some spoilers regarding specifically the mission and the kit and things like that, so we don't want to talk about that. But it's nice to see that there is some clarification about some of the story points for anyone who does want to know any spoilers. And it kind of, the trailer itself hit all the notes a launch trailer should hit, I think, personally. It's very epic. It briefly discussed the storyline in a nice, very concise way. And it showed us stuff we hadn't seen. It showed us stuff we'd already seen. It was very well, I think, directed. I don't know about you, but I thought it was very well directed. And there's not much else to say about it because it showed us enough of the trailer. Like, if I wasn't playing Mass Effect, if I had never played Mass Effect, I guess this would be the trailer that you'd be trying to use to get people to buy the game. And it was very much like, boom, this is going to happen, boom, that's going to happen. Showed a bit of romance as well. Like, it showed everything a BioWare game should have. Plus, it was like, just the scale of it was, again, they keep showing the scale of everything, and it was massive. And also, it was nice to see that Sarah Ryder's also in the trailer, along with Scott. That's the first time you've ever seen... Well, they weren't in the same shot together, but it's meant to be in that playthrough. And it's nice to see that it's nice to see them together in that sense, I guess. But we should say that there is an alternate trailer coming with Sarah as the main focus, not Scott.
I just noticed before we were recording, or about to record, that the official Mass Effect Twitter account did say that there is an alternative version of the trailer coming, with Sarah Ryder being the main focus.
I guess the next thing is the IGN videos. There's a lot in the IGN videos that are spoilerish, and there was I think there was 4 videos, or I focused on specifically 3, I think, that I think had the best amount of information, because a lot of them were too much spoilers or didn't show enough to kind of talk about. So the first one was the Nexus tour, and it was very nice to see the Nexus. It seems way more open, and being able to explore is amazing. It's like taking the Citadel from Mass Effect 1 and kind of like juicing it by 10. It was amazing to see that. It's very, very smooth as well, and also getting to see the Nexus leadership as well. You've got to hear about them in the briefing and actually getting to see their faces. There is a little point I want to make about one of the members of the Nexus leadership, and that's Kandros, who's one of the Turians on the Nexus. And I'm not sure, but I want to say that he's actually Tyrion Kandros from the Mass Effect Discovery comics. mainly because he's got the same colouring on his face and his name is Kandros. So possibly there's a link there, and that comic will actually be about him, which is actually really cool because it'd be nice to meet the person you're going to be seeing all these like background information in on the comics later on as well.
And so, I imagine that if it is the same person, then there'll probably be references to his adventures in the comics come up in the game, because I assume the adventures in the comics are set before.
It sounds like they're set
game.
Before, yeah. Then you had the Tempest and the crew kind of like tour, and it's probably my favorite IGN video because as much as I love the exploration thing, I love the crew part of the game, and getting to actually see all the different crew members and actually getting to hear their voices a little bit more was very, very interesting. And I have to say, they all have their own little personalities, and the idea that they have poker night and the idea that they have like movie nights is very, very cute. I was like, oh. Also, you get to meet Gil, who's the engineer on the Tempest, and I think in one of the videos earlier, and one of the news videos, I told you that he is played by Gethin Anthony, who's Renly Baratheon in Game of Thrones, who anyone watches that, which makes me very excited to see him in as well. And also the fact that the Tempest itself seems like it's going to be more of like a place you can hang about than the Normandy ever did, because the Normandy was lovely, it was so iconic, but you didn't really have that much to do in the Normandy other than speak to the crew, do some few upgrades, and then the galaxy map. You couldn't really do that much. It seems like there's actually going to be things for you to do, because they talk about discoveries and little experiences and adventures and things like that, and it feels like the Tempest is going to feel way more like a home to you, which is very interesting. The last video I wanted to talk about was the Nomad, and this one actually has Destin with Mike Gamble along with him, and we've seen a lot of the Nomad because the Nomad seems to be one of the big selling points of the game, but there are a few points in this that are very cool to see the Nomad actually kind of go across the landscape, and you got to see that hands-on as well. One particular thing I wanted to mention is how amazing it seems to be going from 4-wheel to 6-wheel, and they show that bit where he's trying to climb up a rock and he can't, and then he switches to 6-wheel and he just like magically comes over it, and it's amazing to see that you can actually traverse these landscapes and not fly away like a crazy person like in the Mako. It seems very versatile, and it seems very like responsive to you, and the series of upgrades you can do for that Nomad seems amazingly vast, so much so that I might get frustrated that if I can't pull them all off, because I feel like there's so many that you will be like struggling to pick which one you want. The menu system for the Nomad itself and all that kind of thing, from previous glance, just looking at it now, it looks very complex, but I'm sure you'll get used to it when you get in the game. That's my only worry, that it seems to be a little complex just looking, because like a lot of lists. And the only other thing I wanted to note from this video is the mining mineral scanning thing that they do. You can scan where you're driving using the Nomad, and it'll come up with like the wavelengths of the different minerals, and it reminded me of Mass Effect 2's mineral scanner. And when you find a peak, that's when you decide to deploy your probe. The probe will come down and you just leave it and it'll do its thing. And it's nice to see they didn't abandon that from Mass Effect 2, because as much as some people didn't like it, I loved it. I found platinum, guys!
It was very cool. I remember on one of my Mass Effect 2 playthroughs, one of my many Mass Effect 2 playthroughs, that at least 3 of the playthroughs, I just scanned every single planet to make sure that when the upgrades came around, I had enough for everything. I literally spent like 2 full days just going around scanning every planet in every system that I could, just to be safe. So,
well, literally all I would look for is platinum to get the scars off Shepard's face. That's all I wanted.
That's true. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the main thing I found. I know we haven't covered a lot from the IGN videos. It's just because we can't, just because there's so many spoilers.
They're massively spoiler heavy.
And so I feel like people will get their experiences ruined if we talk about stuff. But they're there for people to see it if they want, but we just won't talk about them here. Yeah. That's it. That's the highlights. And I've gone through it really quickly. But
So we just wanted to get something out just so people know that we're not ignoring them. We were originally going to try and do an analysis on the launch trailer, but we honestly don't see a huge amount of point, because there's a lot of little bits we've seen already in previous trailers that we've already covered. And honestly, we just kind of wanted to enjoy it, just like, fans and not people that make videos on YouTube every so often. I think we just wanted to enjoy it more than anything this time around. So we decided to do this little kind of like mop up of all the trailers and videos and panels and whatnot that have come out over the last few days. So thank you very much for listening and for watching. As always, you can subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all things Mass Effect, and you can help the channel to grow by sharing a video too. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again very soon.